been a long time coming, but I am back. I am, of course, the Black Dragon. I wanted to continue my Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra reviews. I'm going to be starting with Avatar The Last Airbender Book 2 or Season 2, and the reason I'm doing this is because I already wrote up extensive reviews episodically on the first season, or Book 1, and I'll put a link for all of those in the description below, so you can check those out. They are on Enthusiacs.com. I did them when the website first started. For ease of digestion and everything like that, I'm going to start with the top 5 things that I didn't like about the episode, and then we'll move on from there. I'd like to get kind of the nitpicks out of the way first. So starting with the top 5 things that I didn't like about Chapter 1, the Avatar State, is the name itself. It's a nitpick, but it's just the name. Like, you know, all the past avatars' power is being channeled through you, and that's all you could come up with is the Avatar State. And this is the first time I believe that this name for the state where, you know, Aang's tattoos and his eyes glow. So I feel like they had to come up with a name for it. I just think that they could have come up with a better name. And the second thing that I didn't like about this episode was, why didn't Team Avatar just fly to Omashu or sail more closely to Omashu? I like the episode. It's just a matter of logistics in terms of, okay, why are they making this stop at this Earth Nation base if they have Appa? They can just fly there. They fly to this Earth Kingdom base to rest and be protected, but they have Appa. Like, they can just fly over whatever they need to. Mountains, Fire Nation armies, whatever. They can just fly right over it. So I'm not sure that this was the best opening for the season, especially because seasons usually need to have like a big bang, a big hook. And while this was a decent episode that, you know, kind of explored like the mythos, a little bit of the mythos of the Avatar in terms of explaining the Avatar State, I don't really think that it was a big enough bang to start off the series. I think that they should have utilized Appa in this situation and just flown to Omashu to train with King Bumi, or to find out that it's been occupied by the Fire Nation a bit sooner. My third dislike for this episode is Zuko should know better, right? Like, you know, Azula just happens to show up and say, hey, Dad wants you home because he's threatened and there's plots against his life and to overthrow him and things like that, and family's the only one he can trust. But from what we learn about Zuko and Azula, they're siblings, and he's older. So he should know, like, she's a lying manipulator. He should know that Azula is treacherous, and he should not trust her. He's grown up with her. Like, he should know her better than to just be like, I trust you, sister, let's go home, yeah! And the fourth thing I didn't like about this episode was that, okay, so let's forget for a minute that they have Appa, and that they could just fly to wherever they need to go. There's no training. They go to this Earth Nation base, and of course the general, who's really crazy and affected by this war and everything like that, which I'll get into in a second, you know, they go to a base full of earthbenders. He needs to learn earthbending. Not to say that he's mastered waterbending yet, but he still needs to learn all 4 elements, all 4 bending disciplines. So in order to do that, he needs to study. Why wouldn't he study the earthbenders or ask them for lessons while he's there? This is a big problem that I had with the first season, is that there was a lot of filler. There was some character development, but I feel like a lot of the character development comes when the characters are training, when the characters are, you know, trying to, you know, research something or, you know, come up with a way to get out of a certain situation, like when Aang has to go to the Fire Nation Avatar Temple in order to talk to Roku. You know, we learn a little bit more about him, as well as, you know, piece together what it is to be an avatar. So with that, I just felt like Aang could have asked around. He's at a base full of earthbenders. You know, the general could have given him some private lessons, you know, anything to further his training, to further his character development along to where we can not have so much filler, where he could just watch them. You know, he could just watch them and, you know, learn their techniques and stuff like that, because the basis for the Avatar is not just to learn the 4 bending disciplines, but to have, you know, a good understanding of different styles and the different peoples of the world, so that he can learn how to maintain real balance. So he needs to, at least by extension, be studying people. The fifth and final thing that I disliked about this episode is Roku just showing up. Now, as I mentioned before, there was an episode in the first season, again, I reviewed it, so you can check out the link below, that Aang needed to speak with Roku, because Roku was sending him images and things like that, but he couldn't speak with him until the winter solstice. My problem with this is that there was a whole arc in an episode about not being able to speak with Roku until the solstice, until they were able to get to this temple. But now when Aang goes into the Avatar state and is unleashing havoc on this Earth Kingdom base, now Roku shows up to fly him away and explain the Avatar state. If Roku can show up and just teach him what he needs to teach him, what was the point of that arc before, of needing to speak with Roku, but only being able to do it at a certain day and a certain time? That's what kind of bothers me about, you know, the spirits and just going into, like, you know, trying to speak with his past lives and everything like that. And they do it again a few times in the series where, like, Aang can just meditate and he can speak with the past lives that he's had. So it's like, what was the need for that episode in the first season? So it may be a nitpick and it may be a plot hole, but that's the last thing that I didn't like about this episode. So now we move into the things that I did like about this episode, and again, we're doing a top 5. The first thing that I really liked about this episode was that Aang is afraid of his own power, and this fear is what drives him to agree with the general in regards to wanting to bring on the Avatar state just so they can defeat the Fire Lord. There's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. And if you rush certain things, like being the Avatar, it's not going to work out well for you. And I think that the general, seeing him as only a weapon after hearing the stories of what he did to the Fire Navy in the first season, I would believe that the general, after seeing all the death and destruction that he's seen, would want to end this war sooner rather than later. I like that his fear is driving the wanting to get into the Avatar state, and not necessarily that's what he believes or something like that, because it's not. He just feels as though he wants to be relieved of this guilt and he wants to end this war, but he learns that there's another way. The second thing that I liked about this episode was just, again, Iro and Zuko's relationship. I applauded it during the first season, and I'm going to keep doing it now, but I love that Iro just has this kid's back. I love that even though Zuko says some pretty messed up things to him, you know, Iro is all about his nephew, and he looks after him like it's his own kid, more than his own father, who banished him. They fight it out, they get out of there. Iro can apparently redirect lightning, so that's a thing that we'll see a bit later. That I gotta give props, because they continue to show just how great characters Iro and Zuko are. The third thing is a really quick one, but just lightning bending. Like, you know, every except for air, every bending discipline has a subgenre, if you will. I really like that it's not just, oh, splash some water and, oh, throw some rock and fire and air and all this stuff. Captain Planet. But you know, I like that it's not just, you know, water, fire, earth, air. I like that they explore some of the different things that you can do with these elements. The fourth thing is just Azula's introduction. She is calm, cool, collected, scary, in control, intimidating, and doesn't need to do much to scare the crap out of you. You know, Gray Delise, I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. I'm enjoying her voice acting. So with that, you know, just I really do appreciate this character, and it throws a new wrinkle into Team Avatar's plans, because she is precise, calculated, controlling, and just intimidating. So I really like her introduction, and I am grateful that they introduced such an awesome female character into this show. And the final thing that I liked about this episode was the fact that you know, between Azula and Zuko, Azula is so much better a fighter than Zuko is. I really liked how Zuko was out of breath, that he's using firebending and she's not. She's, again, calm, cool, and collected. You know, she's not using firebending. She's basically toying with him. Like, you can tell throughout the fight that she's toying with him. She's, you know, pushing him away. She scratches him, you know, and then finally she reveals her blue fire. Like, what the hell? Not only is that interesting and cool that her fire is so hot that it burns blue, but that it examines how lethal she is, because the hotter the fire, that's when the different colors of fire come out. And that's actually scientifically accurate. I had to look that up. You got to keep raising the stakes, and they do, especially with this character. The stuff that she does, and we'll get into it, man, like, she is bad. So guys, thank you for going through, like, you know, my favorite parts about this episode and the things that I really didn't like about this episode. Like I said, a lot of them are nitpicks. But you know, in the meantime, I really hope that, you know, this will continue. I'm looking forward to, you know, doing more videos and everything like that. I'm looking forward to finally completing my reviews of this entire series, because I really like this series and I really think that more people should be watching it. So with that, you know, I'm going to continue doing what I do. Be sure to, you know, rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Check out the other videos that we have on this channel, and be sure to visit enthusiacs.com for more, and I will see you next time.